Does there need to be a major reflection on the Democrat side on how this election was run by the DNC in your mind?
Well, it won't surprise you that, of course, I believe the answer is an emphatic yes. Our country is predicated on competition and encouraging participation, not suppressing it. And Americans do not like selection. We like election. And I think that indeed was one of the problems this year. And I remind everybody watching right now that our electoral system is essentially a monopoly. The Democratic and Republican parties, in effect, work together to protect a duopoly, and their private corporations. They can do things the way they want, not accountable to voters. And that is something I think that we should be reckoning with. And I certainly will be spending some time exposing the truth about how the system works, because I believe competition, participation makes things better, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, conservative, or progressive. So the answer is, of course,
Sure.
A more transparent, open process, I believe, would have yielded better candidates for Democrats here in 2024.
Republicans hosted a primary this time around, and they also had debates. I understand Donald Trump chose not to attend, but look, he won the nomination and then ultimately went on to win the presidency here. Congressman, if perhaps, you would have had a chance to debate President Biden, I mean, keep in mind that would have happened prior to a Trump-Biden debate. Do you think things could have changed, that perhaps we'd be talking to you as president-elect this morning?
Well, I would say, of course, that if President Biden would have debated during the primary, it might have exposed his decline sooner than many of my fellow Democrats either recognized or wanted to acknowledge. And I do believe debate is good. I'm deeply disappointed that we seem to be entering a political era in which candidates control the debate schedule and narrative rather than voters. And I think that's something that both Democrats and Republicans should be more open to. But yes, debate is good, and deliberation, and primaries exist for a reason, to vet candidates. And when any party blocks out, suppresses, or prevents competition and participation, that by definition is a knock against democracy. So in the future, yes, more debate, not less. And the same goes for President Trump, President Trump-elect, who I congratulate. I wish he had also been willing to debate, because I think that's part of the American system, and we need to be doing more of it, not less, and that's a big part of our problem right now.
We'll see what happens with the Commission on Presidential Debates, again, another 4 years. But staying in this moment with you, and just final question for you, I wanted to talk about media coverage. It's been widely alleged that legacy media, big media, has covered for this Biden White House, and what appears to be a cognitive decline that has been very transparent on video, on appearances, on gaffes, frankly on the world stage. That decline, again, not really shown. Had it been, would things be different for the Democrat Party? What role does media play?
Well, it's a fine question, because I call our dynamic right now angertainment. We have a media ecosystem that is having Americans believe we're more divided than we really are. And I think it's time for us to respect one another and to get out and give each other some handshakes and high fives and hugs, especially when we see things differently. And the fact is, there's an ecosystem on the right, ecosystem on the left. Those who surrounded President Biden, of course, were protecting him. But I'm not going to tell you that my Democratic colleagues were not aware. We were all aware of his decline. I do not consider it cognitive. It's physical and communicative, and this is a man in his 80s now. But we were aware. And yes, I'm disappointed that those who I believe knew better didn't stand up and do what I did, which is simply acknowledge the truth. Americans like authenticity. Americans demand honesty, and they can sniff dishonesty really easily. By the way, I think that's fair to say about President Trump as well. But with that said, authenticity always wins. Hiding, blocking, and not acknowledging the truth is never going to be a good policy for success in politics. And I think there will be some really important lessons learned about why last night went the way it did.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.